I like that idea of Roosevelt saying to other countries, "Be kind to America," because that summarizes, I think, really well his foreign policy. If we were going to take a look at all of his foreign policy goals, whether it's the Panama Canal or the Treaty of Portsmouth or anything else, I think this idea of speaking softly and carrying a big stick is exactly that. Because what Roosevelt says here is that America, as the world's police force, has to set an example. We need to be able to tell the other nations of the world what they should or shouldn't do and do it in a way that's fair. So here you've got Teddy Roosevelt in a policeman's uniform telling other people of the world, whether it's people in India, like that you can see here, or Turkey, or people in Latin America, or people in Europe, Asia. He tells them what to do and how to think and how to behave. And if they don't listen, then they get the big stick, right? So they can follow treaties or decisions that he makes, or you can take American military might and authority and take it on the chin. And Roosevelt isn't the only guy, of course, or the only person that's really going to kind of stand by and let those nations take place. Let me give you a very specific example of this kind of speak softly and carry a big stick idea. It's called the Roosevelt corollary. What Roosevelt says is that way back in the 1800s, a president that we had named Monroe came up with an idea. He said, we're going to have something called the Monroe Doctrine. And that doctrine says that America is able to intervene or protect North America and Central America. You can't come over here and get involved. You can't mess up our countries. You're not allowed to just stay out. Well, now Roosevelt's going to say, you know what, we're going to actually expand that. America's now a nation or a worldwide business powerhouse. And if we're a worldwide business powerhouse, then we've got economic interest in way more than just Central America, Mexico, Nicaragua, Honduras, etc., and North America, but also South America. So he's going to say, look, you can't come to any of this half of the world, and we're going to intervene. If you get involved in these places and you mess them up, we're going to protect our business interests, however that requires, treaty or military. It's a really forward way of saying to the world that we are strong enough to be masters of our own house. Other presidents to come after Roosevelt are also going to kind of continue this idea of influencing this half of the world and preventing people from getting involved here. The 27th president of the United States, William Howard Taft, is going to use something called dollar diplomacy. His idea is instead of using the military to keep Latin America friendly with us, we're going to use what's called dollar diplomacy. The concept is that we will support Latin American industry and Latin American governments with American dollars. We give you American dollars to build infrastructure, to increase trade, to allow American companies to operate in your country, and we protect you and we help you keep yourself safe from local rebellions to keep yourself in power. It's a great way for us to use the dollar instead of the military to be successful in countries in Latin America. Woodrow Wilson, who comes in from 1914 to 1918, Wilson is going to say, you know what, I'm not so sure that we're going to necessarily approach things in the same violent way that you see these other countries or these other presidents doing, at least when it comes to foreign affairs. What I would rather do, says Wilson, is have something called moral diplomacy. I want America to do what's just. I want that to be our guiding light. It shouldn't be about our money forcing us to intervene in other countries. It shouldn't be about our military forcing us to go to war with other countries. What we should do is worry about America's foreign policy from the perspective of what's the right thing to do. I'll give you an example for this. Down in Mexico, there was a revolution in 1910, and it was getting really, really worse by the time Wilson gets into power in 1914. So what Wilson does is actually send our military into Mexico in 1914 to try and restore law and order, because that's not, in Wilson's mind, having a military overthrow the government, that's not moral, that's not just. In his mind, you need to use law and order in order to kind of make that happen. You got to use the ballot box. So there's an example of Wilson using moral diplomacy. We're going to leave it with that for right there, and I think we'll pick up with more of this tomorrow as we talk about kind of some foreign policy areas, ideas here in the age of imperialism in some of our activities in class.